高の天才外科医がスクリーンで復活
いたします。
外科医大門未知子、またの名をドクター X。
私失敗しないので。
さらば大門未知子。
地獄に落ちればいい。
恨んでたってこと？
大門未知子は私の誇りよ。
劇場版ドクター X ファイナル。
私失敗しないので。最後のドクター X となります。一生忘れられない作品になって大きなスクリーンで見ていただけたら嬉しいなと思っております。
劇場版ドクター X ファイナル。
私失敗しないので。
さらば大門未知子。
地獄に落ちればいい。
恨んでたってこと？
大門未知子は私の誇りよ。
私失敗しないので。絶対に。緊急オペ。
御意。
御意って何ですか？
御意ってなんだ？
は？
劇場版ドクター X ファイナル。
分からずに今まで御意を言ってたの？
お母さんの再婚により始まる新しい家族との新しい生活。
ようこそ成田家。
弟が4人も？嘘でしょ？
弟ですが何か？ ありがとう姉さん。僕のことは気にしないでください。
いとちゃん最高。一つ屋根の下、スイートすぎるゼロ距離ラブコメディ。こんな新生活聞いてない。うちの弟どもがすみません。もう一人死んでた。捕まえて捕まえて。こんな新生活聞いてない。お母さんの再婚により始まる新しい生活のはずが、弟が4人も？お姉ちゃんらしくお姉ちゃんを頑張っています。
姉ちゃん面すんなよ。ありがとう姉さん。気にしないでください。
待ってたよお姉ちゃん。癖強な弟たちとの同居生活スタート？
姉さんが頑張りすぎてる。なんだよ。
弟くんみんなかっこいいじゃん。恋の予感しかないこれは。何言ってんの？
やるよ。できた。
ありがとう。
心配になんだろうが、彼女ができたらどうする？
俺じゃダメかな。放っておけないんだってさ。
寝ても覚めてもその人のことを考えちゃう。それが恋。
俺と勝負しよう。
どうなる？私たちの同居生活。うちの弟どもがすみません。
できた。
それはキャベツを丸めただけだね。
よーい、はい。
弟が4人も？一つ屋根の下、スイートすぎるゼロ距離ラブコメディ。うちの弟どもがすみません。5人兄弟の末っ子なんですけど、立派なお姉ちゃんを演じております。
僕今までずっと黒髪だったんですけど、ピアスも違う人間ではあるなっていう思ったりするんですよね。
心の機微にいち早く気づく鋭いタイプ、どうなっていくのかすごい楽しみです。
兄思いなんだなっていうシーンがとってもあったし、すごい考えていたんだなっていう。
僕のポンコツなところが似てて、ポンコツのままいきたいと思います。とっても楽しく撮影させてもらっています。本物で電車に乗って撮影するなんて思ってなくて。
アイラブ成田家です。
キュンキュンするシーンもたくさんありますし、家族の優しさに触れるシーンもたくさんあると思うので、公開をぜひ楽しみにしていただければなと思います。うちの弟どもがすみません。お楽しみに。
一目惚れですか？
そうかもしれませんね。貞夫君。
今いくつ
？20歳。
成瀬さんのことが今でも忘れられない。
シャワー浴びてきて。
弘前の街ご案内しましょうか。
山中さんの人生って山中さんの脚本みたいな人生なんですか？
もう一回キスしてもいいですか？
私時々見えるんですよ、生き量が。
私はすごく好きな人がいます。
もういません。
あなたが好きです。
あなたはどうしてここにいるんですか？
Beatles had no money. I said, I'll take you all in a minibus.
That was the start of an epic journey.
In my opinion, our peak for playing live was in Hamburg.
驚異のロングヒットから13年。
Over the last 2 decades, something called the food movement got started. At the same time, there were shortages in the supermarket. Food industry is dominated by a handful of very powerful companies.
We're working with Tyson. We're going to sign an executive order today, I believe.
When the pandemic hit, the curtain was peeled back.
食はどう変わったのか。
There were whole crops being buried.
That's not the only problem. Working in the fields, our work is essential, but we as people were treated as disposable.
How could I go to work for these billion-dollar companies and feed all these people, all to come home to hear my son's stomach growl?
これはアメリカに限った話ではない。超加工食品の危険。巨大食品企業の市場独占。給与は下がり続けている。子供の糖尿病の増加。
There's a whole arsenal of additives designed to mislead the brain.
私のご飯大丈夫？
I wanted to wake up in the morning believing what I was doing. This is wealth right here.
食べることを学ぼう。
This is our chance to chart a new course.
I want to see people living life, not just fighting to survive.
Just imagine if the government decided to step in on the side of the consumer and the citizen.
We not only can do it, we have to.
フードインク、ポストコロナ。
Well, you know, I was born after the end of the Second World War, but I grew up in post-war Britain. And so the stories and the reality of what happened during the Second World War was very much a part of my youthful education, if you like. And I've always felt very strongly it was such an unbelievably traumatic event for the world, for Europe in particular, but all over the world, obviously for many nations, lost millions and millions of people. The Holocaust was one of the most monstrous occurrences in human history. I felt it. I still feel it's so important that we don't forget about it, and that the young are not taught about it, but should be aware of it and aware of the kind of sacrifices that people made, the kind of tragedy that people confronted, the kind of cruelty, the kind where when you perpetuate racism of any kind, the end of that road is what happened in the Second World War. So I just feel very strongly that we have to keep it alive in our mind. Julian plays my grandson, and he's a young teenager, and as many young teenagers do, he's going through a difficult time when he can't quite find his place in the world, and he's lashing out as a reaction to that. you know, grand-mère his grandmother who has had this extraordinary history in her life of what happened to her when she was his age, is trying to make him understand that the world is, of course, is a complicated place with darkness, but as Martin Luther King says, you have to find the light within yourself. Darkness will never drive out darkness. So, you know, that is the lesson that she is trying to teach him, simply through telling him her life story. I mean, you know, Julien obviously has a lesson to learn. Hopefully, in the audience, there'll be a lot of other kids thinking about their own behavior, their own actions, their own, you know, cruelty, maybe, that they have participated in, and realize how, you know, how terribly, terribly wrong it is, and how the end of that journey can, you know, it can be so devastating, so extreme. So I do hope that this is a lesson that people will learn, and also the lesson of great courage. You know, the great courage of the families who hid people. I was reading fairly recently. It was just after I'd sort of committed to doing this film, and I happened to read an article about a whole village, a French village. The whole village had hidden people. Every single person in that village had hidden people, whether they were escaping, you know, pilots or airmen who'd fallen into France, or Jewish people. But the whole village were involved in hiding people, and the incredible courage that needed, because they would have been executed, every one of them, if this had been found out. You know, that's a courage that it's very hard to comprehend nowadays, isn't it, as we get further and further away from it. So yes, to learn about courage and to learn about kindness.
大ヒット映画「ワンダー君は太陽」から生まれたもう一つの物語。
I think, for your sake, I must.
Find us!
You need to come with me right now. I know a way out.
助けてくれた少年の勇気ある優しさが人々を変えていく。
When kindness can cost you your life, it becomes like a miracle.
ホワイトバード、はじまりのワンダー。